Hello my friends, in today's video I'm going to show you guys my workflow when it comes to A and Bing and referencing images so that they look more cohesive as a part of a larger set. So for me personally, I do this specific element of my workflow in Lightroom. You're welcome to do this in Photoshop or Affinity Photo. We will be doing future videos on doing similar techniques in both of those platforms to come in a future video. So these two right here are photos that were taken in the same set, right? And this was a part of a larger collection of images that we shot on a certain day. And what I'm going to do right now is kind of show you guys my workflow on A and B and referencing images. So once I have one that I think is best suits the mood and the color and the tone and has the overall vibe that I'm looking for, then how do I go about applying those same kind of adjustments and changes to a second image to make sure that across a series of images they all have a same overarching visual feel, if you will. So I got some coffee here with me today, so I'll be having some coffee. Absolutely. All right, so let's hop on over into Lightroom. So here we are. This is the image in Lightroom. This is coming basically straight out of the editing and the adjustments that I did in Affinity Photo. You're welcome to watch some of the videos on how I did some of the techniques on this particular image. They are on our channel, so you're welcome to check those out if you'd like to. Let me kind of clean up the display a little bit here because we don't need to see some of this information. And actually, as a matter of fact, since we're just doing mostly Lightroom, I will go on full screen as well. So what I'm going to be doing, the first thing I noticed when I was looking at A and B in those images is that there's a little bit too much saturation in her skin. So how do I normally go about fixing this? What I'm doing first and foremost is I'm looking at so the color of the skin, I'm looking at the saturation, I'm looking at the exposure of the background, I'm looking at how bright the highlights are, how dark are the shadows. Is the viewer's eye focusing on the same areas in both of the images? Is there a similar level of contrast between both of the images? So I already made some adjustments on this. So I will actually A and B and turn all these off so you can see what I've done so far. This was the original image, and then these are the adjustments I made. But those adjustments that I made have not been good enough. So we're going to continue doing some of those adjustments. One of the things that I noticed first and foremost is that there's too much saturation. So I'm going to go into the adjustment layers right here and decrease the saturation across her entire face. I'm going to do it literally with the adjustment tool as opposed to doing it with the actual HSL adjustments, but I'm just going to just decrease the saturation. I just think there's just too much saturation. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to decrease some of that saturation and then kind of see where that gets us. So reduce the saturation, that was a little bit much, so I'm going to do -15. And then so what do I do next? I do Command Option Shift E. And what I do is I'm exporting the image as a TIFF, and I'm actually going to use unique names because I don't want to overwrite it. I'm going to be doing some more finer adjustments to this image later on outside of this tutorial. And then what I do then is I minimize Lightroom and I come back over to our image. I'm going to go into Untitled 2 TIFF, and basically what I'm going to do now is open this up. I'm going to put it right next to the actual reference image. Let's minimize this. We don't need this window anymore. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare back and forth. So this right here is the workflow process. Ideally, I'd want this on the same white background, or alternatively, I'd want this on a gray background so I can focus specifically on the elements in question to make sure they actually look the same. But that's basically what you're going to do. So once you have these loaded up and you have both images on a display, ideally if you want maybe 3 images, if you do like that kind of set, have a big enough monitor so you can see all of them, that would be ideal, but I can only showcase 2 images on my MacBook display, unfortunately. So right now the next thing that I'm seeing, okay, it's a little bit too like kind of brown. I want to increase the reds. So I go back to the same one right here. The saturation's good right now. I might actually decrease the contrast a little bit as well. So we'll do -10, decrease the contrast. And then we're also going to just change the tint, and we're going to make it a little bit more on the purplish red side, which is going to be, let's say, +5. And we're going to make this +5 to make that more yellow. Command Option Shift E, and then use, well, I guess in all reality, what I would actually do is overwrite existing. I would actually overwrite the existing file, and then once you minimize Lightroom and you click on this actual file right here, it automatically updates the adjustments that you just made. Literally just overwrites the file. But unfortunately, I won't be doing it that way, so we're just going to go right here, make it the same size, come right here, and then now A and B again. And this right here is basically my workflow. So I just want to kind of show you guys that this is how I actually end up getting images, especially if I'm delivering them to a set, to a client. This is the actual workflow that I use to make sure images across the whole series or the whole catalog or the whole whatever it is, they have the same kind of color in the skin, they have the same kind of luminosity in the shadows and highlights, the background is the same, the overall saturation similar, so the vibe and the visual appeal to the image is exactly the same. And then this is right here is just kind of my workflow. So I just go through and I do this probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And again, I'll show you just the before and after of when we've done. I have already kind of done this on this image, but this is what it originally started with. And I'll even export this too so you can see what the original was compared to what the adjustments are right now. So we'll open that right here, and then you guys can see that as well. So this is the original image. Biggest things for me that I'm noticing, especially as let me kind of look around. Again, saturation. The background, it's a little bit moodier in this image, which is fine, but I didn't really want it to be that moody. So then I made the adjustments, and you can see some of those adjustments right here. So I increased the exposure of the background. I kind of, basically what I did is I increased some of the highlights and shadows. I reduced some of the brightness down over here. I brought up over here. And then I changed the saturation a little bit. It's still a little bit too saturated. I wasn't going nearly as ham as I should have gone on that, and then that right there gets me closer to what I think the set should look like. But simple kind of video, just a little bit of a workflow thing. I don't know if that'd be valuable for you guys, but I kind of figured no one really talks about kind of A and B and reference imaging tracks. Reference imaging images, and making sure that the sets are actually going to be visually, if you're going to do them as a set, that they look pretty much similar. It doesn't necessarily mean that the colors have to be identical, but the saturation, the vibe, the luminosity, the way the photo feels when you're looking at it, that should have the same, it should evoke the same feeling. These are two completely different themes, but looking at them, you can see that they're very similar, right? Even though they're shot and the makeup is completely different, the theme is completely different, the overall arching mood between them is a little bit different, but visually there's kind of something that underlines and connects them together. So kind of like a miscellaneous kind of video. I don't know if that'll help you guys or not, but no one really talks about this, so I wanted to make sure we have something on the specific thing because it's super important. So as always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or you'd like to see something done on our channel that we have the capability or skill set to showcase and teach to you guys, you're welcome to leave that in the comment description below. If you have any comments or feedback as well, how we can make improvements, let us know. Outside of that, reach out to us on social media if you want to, keep on connecting, continue the conversation as well. And then like the video if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you haven't, or consider doing that, and follow us along. We've got some really great content coming up soon. And until next time, my friends, peace out.